Welcome to Mercedes and the Chap, a show dedicated to helping humans become extraordinary. Here we'll hone a well-rounded roadmap for us to step into our potential in all things relationships, work, purpose, and legacy. Chap, how do you feel about meeting my brother that was not naturally born from my mother, but is definitely soul-wise related to me?
Well, you had said this, and a lot of people will tell people, "Oh, you got to be my buddy. You got to be my buddy." And I'm like, and I mean, I believe you by now, but it's like, okay, whatever. And then within a period of 5 minutes, I was like, this guy's incredible. I mean, we hit it off on things that I really want to hang out with him more, and we got to get him back on. But as far as his background, I mean, historian, kind of self-taught loner or a actual loner, and he embraces it. A father. I mean, this guy, I mean, when you said one of your dearest friends, you don't say dearest friends about everybody.
No.
And so, and I know you said this guy's going to be pretty special, but indeed he is. And it's just, you get to see, somebody who's really genuine, who maybe on TV, we might think, okay, he's just another pretty voice or beautiful head. But in the reality is, it's like you quickly learn that there's so much to this guy.
Yeah, and I think that this episode is really a testament to the fact that we could talk for years with this dude and probably never approach anything that we wanted to get to. So we're definitely having him on again in short order. But in this episode, I think maybe my favorite parts were picking through what it is like to grow up as someone who has to kind of grow up way faster than maybe most kids would want to, and become the man that, you wanted your father to be or you wanted to have in your life, as an example, real quick, and what that looks like and walks like in life.
And take the bad and turn it into a good.
Yeah. So let's get into this episode with Jimmy Smith. Jimmy. You are here.
No, right?
I
For you.
know.
How much have you missed me?
I can't even put it into words.
It's tough, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I'm just bringing a tear to my eye just thinking of it now. But really, you are like my brother from another, and I have all sisters, so that
Right, yeah. So I'm the only one, which is sweet.
Yeah.
Which is great, which is awesome.
Because
you have all sisters. There's no one to compare me to, basically.
Exactly.
Yes.
You're the brother I did need, though, I think. And I'm so glad that you came into my life when you did, because I think we grew up together a lot in Bellator.
Yes.
And you've been on, really, you've shared in all my projects in some way or another.
I got a call to do this, by the way, from Mercedes. Can you come up and do this thing? Yeah. I don't know what it is. People ask me about it. Like, what are you going to, I don't know. What are you, I don't know. I don't know. It's Mercedes asked me to come here, so I'm here. That's it. That's all I know. She could have asked me to go anywhere and do anything, and I would have gone.
Oh, I appreciate that, Jimmy. Sure. I'm very, very grateful you're here. So, the first thing I want to kind of get into for anyone in my audience that doesn't know you, which is very unlikely since we have a big MMA following here, is how you ended up where you're at today, which is a pretty incredible journey getting here. And I want you to start as small as you really want to. I know we've kind of talked about some of your earlier beginnings on my last show, but I'm happy to play where do
you want me to start?
Why don't you just?
It's old.
You can.
I'm old now. So this is now an old story. I'm like, God.
There's a lot that's happened there. I'd love to hear just kind of your early beginnings to address who you are as a man today, because I really want to talk about that in this episode. And so that looks like, I think, your young life as kind of loner Jimmy, and you still are loner Jimmy, let's be real, for the most part. And then, and it really can just be the quick highlights of it, or quick high and lows, and how that brought you to your career in MMA and now at the WWE.
Well, I was born in Portugal in 1426, and no, you know how it is. Yeah, so I'm a native of California. That's where I grew up and everything. But like the formative thing that people don't know about me that is I grew up on an orange grove for the first 9 years of my life in the middle of literally nowhere. My family's in the orange business. That's the fruit business.
Mine was at one point as well.
Yeah, mine too.
Amazing.
Is
really?
that weird?
It
I grew up
weird.
on an orange farm as well.
Okay, this is getting weird.
I didn't know any of that.
So we were competitors.
Yes, we were.
Right.
Go Florida.
Hostile. Yeah, screw Florida.
No.
Anyway, so I'm sorry. That just came out of me. So I grew up on an orange grove. So I grew up like by myself. Like the bus came and picked us up individually. I was the first one picked up, and the last one dropped off every single day of my childhood. That's how far out in the boonies we were. Were you there when we did a fight in Visalia?
Yes.
Yeah. All right. So,
I know.
Visalia, California, which you're staring at me like you have
no idea.
You
Never heard of
shouldn't
it.
know what Visalia is. We were in Visalia, which is the big city to me when I was a kid. And we're at a restaurant. Remember, you might not have been there. I was let's get breakfast. We went to this breakfast place. And one of the fighters who was local saw me in there and goes, dude, how do you know about this place? And I said, I grew up in Orosi down the road. And he literally looked at me and goes, people live in Orosi? I swear to God. He was like, people live down there? I went, yeah, no, I grew up on a grove there. He goes, oh, yeah, it's all orange groves. Yeah, it makes sense. So, yeah, that was like my formative years, like really isolated and really...
And people don't think of California as having any isolated pockets.
Oh, it does.
Yeah.
When you drive between, San Francisco...
The Grapevine or
Yeah, the Grapevine. You drive up from between San Francisco and L.A., that flat nothing is the San Joaquin Valley, and that's where I grew up. And until I was about 9. So really isolating, really... I didn't have a neighborhood with like kids in it or anything like that. So yeah, that was really formative for me. I was always alone doing reckless, dangerous things.
So the Grove fertilizer is what made your hair grow very well.
Yeah,
right?
basically.
Because you used to play. You're right.
Oh man, playing on farm equipment and all this crazy stuff that that was my whole childhood.
Yeah. And so early on, what are your maybe most sculpting moments that you pull out that brought you to decide you want to like join a gym, become a mixed martial artist, and start pulling on that thread?
I think the first things were growing up there and the way I was raised, the environment I was raised in, physical danger didn't mean very much. It was like, I put an axe through my hand one time messing around, and I put an axe through my finger, right? And it went halfway, like I lifted up my hand and the axe was hanging from my finger.
Oh my God.
And I was like, oh crap. And I pulled it out and I went to the bathroom and got Bactine and I'm maybe 6.
To yourself, by yourself.
Yeah, no, I was like, okay, it burned. All right, that's okay. I taped it back up and it healed and I was fine.
But here's why I had to do that, though, because if we didn't do that, our moms would have brutalized.
Don't bleed on the floor. That's right. You better not bleed on the floor.
It was all self-preservation.
Their priority for some reason. Yeah, it was more like, if you can deal with it yourself, you're okay.
You deal with it.
And that's kind of how I was raised out in the country. So the idea that I would get hit in the face and panic, or like that I would get some kind of emotional... Oh my God! I wasn't raised that way, so
entering the fight world was kind of natural.
Yeah, it didn't really seem weird to me, and I'm not a social animal, as you know, Mercedes. So Mercedes is one of the few people I like hung out with and spent time with. I just I don't do that often. So the idea of one-on-one combat appealed to me a lot. I didn't have to rely on the halfback messed up or whatever. I don't like that. I'm not built for that, and so individual sports just appealed to me a lot more. So I was a wrestler in high school, and then went into MMA when I was in college and started doing jiu-jitsu. I was at UCLA and just started doing jiu-jitsu for the hell of it. Coach ran into me and was like, oh, you should try it. I was okay, and I did. And then I was in Southern California post-college, and I was driving through Huntington Beach, and I saw a sign that said jiu-jitsu, and I pulled over and signed up. It turned out to became Team Punishment, Tito Ortiz's team. Mm-hmm. So all these pros went through there. They just, all the time. And they just said at the end of jiu-jitsu class, they'd go, hey, what are you doing? I said, nothing. Can you stay an extra hour? Yeah, okay. All right, this is Dan Henderson. We're getting him ready for a fight. You're the 5th guy in this kind of like rotation. You're going to do this. Your job is to take down Dan Henderson any way you can. His job is to beat up Dan Henderson. His job is to kick Dan Henderson. His job, everybody had kind of this job, and they just needed a warm body. Mm-hmm. So that's how I first got in with high-level training, was they just needed a guy about my size who wouldn't complain, and that was me. And so I got into it, and that's where I took off fight-wise. Yeah, it was all that.
Yeah, and then you went on this journey in the entertainment industry of obviously being a professional fighter for some time, and then getting into Fight Quest. I don't know if I'm telling this story in order, but you were with American Ninja Warrior for some time.
Exactly. Boom. Yeah, you're nailing it.
Wow, I'm good at this.
You know me like other people don't. Yeah, so I got an audition to do a thing called Fight Quest, which was a show that I run around the world in different martial arts for Discovery Channel. And so the theme, it's painful thinking about it. We had to train for 5 days, and then I fought somebody who'd been doing it like 20 years. Or I fought 5 people or 10 people. I went through some kind of horrible ordeal in that martial art. And I went to Brazil, China, Japan, Mexico City, Indonesia, everywhere. Yeah, it was crazy.
And then did you lose as much as you win, or how did those?
I was about 50-50 winning and losing. But
so like life, basically.
What?
I said like life. Basically.
Yeah. Right. But it was also, some were like, I fought 10 guys. Well, I'm not going to the point is to be
Can't win 'em all.
standing up
Yeah.
at
Right.
the end, right?
Right.
Yeah, that's the idea.
A marathon.
Right. So some of them were ordeals, not fights.
Oh,
yeah.
got
So that was kind of the deal. And then, like, when I did Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu in Brazil, I had gotten sick thinking about it. The producer, 2 days before the final fight, said, "Hey, we want a scene of you swimming." Okay. And I went on the water and swam. And I get back to my room in the middle of the night. I'm sicker than I've ever been in my entire life by a lot. I'm thrown up. I'm crapping everywhere. And so they take me to the emergency room the next day. And they hydrated me. I fought the next day.
Oh.
And
Oh, God.
so anyways, I had this fight. And the guy I fought at the end, really good, name's Igor Estrella, great jiu-jitsu guy. We fought for about a half hour so they could get enough footage.
Oh, my
So
God.
it wasn't a 5-minute match, which would normally be 7 minutes for purple belts at the time. It was like a half hour. So some things were way worse than you saw on television or whatever, so they could get enough footage of something. So it wasn't like a 7-minute match. We fought for a long time so they could get enough footage. But then I went to Brazil, God, a year later for myself. I had a fight in Brazil, and I stayed a little bit longer. And I told this story. And the guy goes, "Where'd you swim?" I said, "Oh, right there." And he goes, "Oh, you can't swim there. That's polluted." I was like, son of a... He's like, "Yeah, I got a bacterial infection from swimming."
Oh, my God. Basically like a hepatitis.
Oh, yeah, no, I swam through,
Man.
things I don't want to talk about.
Yeah. I don't want to think about it.
So that was Fight Quest. And then I ended up commentating for Bellator, then the UFC, and then now the WWE. It's insane.
Yeah. You've been on such a journey. And I know because I've been now knowing you for, I don't even know, how long have we known each other? 10 plus?
2009?
12, 13
2010?
years. Something like that. And in any case, you have been on this roller coaster that I've kind of watched because from going from Bellator to the UFC and kind of not knowing where that was going to go and then that dropping off at a point and then the WWE now, you're busier than you've probably ever been. But just what does it take, do you think, to get through those lulls, especially in this industry, this entertainment industry, that you just can't predict what comes up, tomorrow?
I was talking to somebody at the WWE backstage about this like last week. And they said, "There's no roadmap for what you do." And I said, "No, there's not. There's no
And
agents."
there's like 2 people in the world that do it well, by the way.
Yes. No, there are 2 people that do what I do consistently.
And
really.
you're the one I'd put on the very top of that list.
I
by the
very
way.
much appreciate that. So
That's true.
It's tough. It's like, yeah, there's no agents that specialize in, I'm a combat sports color analyst / play-by-play guy. Well, right, there are 3 places you can work. All right, I do pro wrestling. Okay, then there are 2. There's no roadmap for when things go off the rails. You can't. There's no. The analogy I've used that is hard for people to understand is when you're working at the UFC or you're working at the WWE, you're on this beautiful, amazing yacht, right, in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. And the sun is shining and it's beautiful and there's nothing from horizon to horizon. And you're kind of pacing and you're nervous. And someone comes up and goes, "You're on this beautiful yacht. Why are you nervous?" "I can't swim. Mm-hmm. If they throw me off this yacht, I don't see any islands out here. You know what I mean? Or I don't see any lifeboats. That's our business. When you're doing great, you're doing great,
yeah.
right? Like, the WWE is a great company. They're fantastic, UFC is a great company. They were fantastic. When they go, we don't need you anymore.
Right.
You are in the middle of an ocean, hanging onto a dinghy going, man, I don't.
Where I'm going next.
There's no process.
And most people you have your normal job and you think, "Oh, how would it be? It'd be so cool to do this or so cool to that." What you're saying is, yeah, it is if you can manage it, because the psychology is going to drive you crazy if you can't.
There's no stability.
Manage it. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's what we do is so subjective. It isn't. I'm a quarterback. I threw for 350 yards with no interceptions. You're a damn good quarterback. People say, "Jimmy sucks at this. Jimmy's great at this. Jimmy's my favorite. I can't." Okay, I mean, those opinions they're all subjective, and none of them. I can't do better. You either like me or you don't. It's a very weird kind of field to be in, where you're subjected to everyone else's criticism of what you are and what you do, but it's also subjective that you can't do anything about it. It's not like, then I'll work on my speed as a running back. Okay, what do you want me to do? It's very, very difficult.
Well, how do you deal with that, like, psychologically? Like, because I'm one of those people that I like to be able to prepare for something if there's a preparation to be had. But it is fun when you can't prepare, and it's like, well, so how do you deal with that? Because you have a family or whatever. Yeah. How do you deal with that, like, internally or whatever?
When I was doing combat sports, as a broadcast. I still do combat sports for radio and ESPN. I'm on air for them. When I was calling live fights, I was a prep maniac. I knew everybody. I knew everything. I knew the background for everybody. And so the one thing I could say is I'm always going to be prepared. Doesn't matter what, I'm going to know. WWE, you can't. The nature of it is very last minute. It's very, okay, here's what's going on tonight. I don't find out until I'm getting there. They change things on the fly a lot because it's like improv more than calling a sporting event. That's the only way I can describe it.
Makes sense. Yeah.
And so you can only be so prepared for improv. You have to just be ready to roll with things. And especially like a big reveal or like when John Cena came out, at I think it was Money in the Bank. I didn't know that. Now, wasn't calling that the last match, so I didn't have to worry about it, but suddenly John Cena comes out. I had no idea John Cena.
Oh, so when you
keep it close to the vest.
So when you guys look pretty surprised, and that's real.
We are.
Wow, okay.
We are. Big pay-per-views, I don't know anything.
Wow.
I know literally what you know as fans. So-and-so, and then so-and-so, and then so-and-so. And I call the Raw ones, and Michael Cole calls the SmackDown ones.
What a skill set, though, to be able to roll with the punches, as it were. You're good at that, right?
Yeah, it is.
Have you always had the gift of gab, or however you want to call that?
Yeah. I've always been able to think on my feet, and I've always been able to communicate with people, or large groups of people easily. And I don't know how to express that in a sense of, one of my gifts / curses in life, and Mercedes, you know this because you're a friend of mine. Mm. Things that other people find really hard, I find really easy.
Yeah.
Things that other people find super easy are almost impossible for me.
Like
socializing
on a surface level.
I don't really socialize on a surface level. And Mercedes knows this. I can't do that. I have no idea how to do that. That makes no sense to me. I went to UCLA, a school. It's gigantic. It's a big school, and I really enjoyed where it was. And it's Southern California. I didn't meet one single person. And people go, how did you do that? I went to school, and then I went to work, and then I went home, and I went to sleep. And I went to gym and worked out. That was it.
You're like the most deeply introverted person with the most extroverted job.
Yes.
It's so fascinating.
It doesn't occur to me that someone I don't know would have any interest in speaking to me. It doesn't, Donna, unless they're fans of the show or fans of something I've done. It doesn't. When we talk about fighting, right? A lot of times one of the things always comes up in fighting. What would work on the street? I haven't been in a street fight since I was in high school. Why? I don't go around running my mouth off and I mind my own effing business.
Yeah.
So you would literally have to come up to me while I'm reading a book at a tea place and start a fight with me, which is pretty dumb because you can see from the way I'm built that I can at least fight okay, right? If you don't know who I am. That's how I am with everything. Like, I remember I was in school one time, and I was walking to class, and this girl was standing there, and I walked past her, and went to class, and I came out, and she goes, she was so mad, because we were in class together, and no one was around, and I walked right past her and went to class, and she goes, you didn't even say hi to me. And I went, why would I say hi to you? And she didn't know, like, it doesn't occur to me to go, we're in class together, I have a reason to speak to you.
Right.
That doesn't click in my head.
I'm not sure this doesn't make you a sociopath.
It could. I've never hit a puppy in my life. Yeah. Like, I love animals, you know what I mean? Like,
and you love people. Like, I mean, we have a great relationship. Your family, you have a family that's, you love dearly. So
yeah, so I'm not on that level. Yeah. It just doesn't.
It's not practical.
It's not practical, exactly.
Yeah, it's like, but it's also like, if I'm sitting there reading at a, whatever, because I always bring a book, I'm reading constantly, Mercedes knows this, and you come up and start talking to me, I go, what are you doing?
What are we
it wouldn't, unless you're a fan, but it wouldn't occur to me. And then, it's so there's other things that other people find super duper or easy, people network and find, I find that really, really difficult to do. So certain things are easy to me, but other people find things super easy, and I find them.
Well, it sounds like you have to stand on your own then, because like you can't use charisma and the manipulation and the whining and dining to get what you need get done. You got to just more. It's like, hey, this is me.
Yeah.
And I can't help you because I don't understand why we're even talking to begin with.
It's like a take it or leave it situation.
If I have a reason to speak with you, I'm great.
The thing is, like, about you, Jimmy, is no one thinks you're not kind.
Yeah.
Because you're a very kind person. You wouldn't ignore someone on purpose. You're not like going out of your way to do it. You're just not even thinking about it. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's also like, if I have a reason to speak to someone, I am great. But if I won't make up a reason to speak with someone. Well, and also I find that really, I don't like being networked.
Right.
I don't like people who want something from me, pretending to be friendly to me, irritates me.
Well, because unfortunately, that's a lot of the real world.
Yeah, that just angers me.
Like, it's annoying.
If you want something from me, just say, Mercedes, hey, sure, great.
100%.
Hey, how's it going? So,
well, to her credit, she's really good at just, hey, can you do this?
Oh, that's what she called me. Yeah, can you come up and be on? Yeah, amazing. Sure. All right, no problem. Great, here I am. Right, but I find the whole, just be honest and tell me you need something or want something. But I find that just don't.
It's like a difference between, you don't want to feel manipulated, of course, by someone, but you're also willing to have mutually beneficial relationships where you feel 100%. Like both people getting something out of it, and you're clear about whatever that's going to be. This is you through and through. Yes. By the way, like I know a lot about, we've talked in the past, especially on the previous show, about your approach to a romantic relationship, your approach with women, and it being something where if a lot of women want this like persistent guy who's gonna like, even if she's saying no and like being coy, he's gonna chase her. Jimmy's like, no, okay, and leaves the room, and she's like, what? Yeah,
what'd I do?
That didn't work. That was women and I. It was rough, man. It was rough.
Can you talk about that, like that scenario she just talked about? Because I find that very intriguing, and I think a lot of people that are watching right now would love that attribute. Like, okay, F you.
Yeah, Jimmy does not have a Me Too story because
there are none. When I heard no or felt no, I was gone, and
Well, it's not worth your time anyway.
Yeah, it's just if you. Wow, how personal do I want to get here?
Okay, then
Mercedes is like real personal. Yes, I know Mercedes. And it's also like, if you're not enthusiastic, I'm not interested. If I have to like, oh, you got to sell me. Okay, if you're not enthusiastic about me, why am I going to waste my time or whatever? Like I don't do that. But it's also I'm not good with like indirect communication. Yeah, I am terrible with that.
Like signals or whatever.
No, I'm awful at that. Yeah. So like
it needs to be verbal. Like you're a verbal person. Yes or no.
Right. And there was like when I was at UCLA, one of these stories, this drove a friend of mine nuts. So I'm leaving class, and this girl comes up to me because I had said something in class where they had asked something, and I raised my hand and I answered it, whatever. And this girl came up to me, and she goes, "You really say smart things all the time in class." And I said, "Thank you." And she goes, "I've never seen you in any study groups or anything like that." And I go, "Because I don't go to those things." And I continued walking. And my friend goes, she was hitting on you. And I was like, huh? I was like, she asked me about class, and I answered her question honestly. That is the end of my interaction with her. Like, it wouldn't occur to me that she was looking for some avenue to ask me out.
Well, what's funny about you saying this is I feel like a lot of genuine guys, and please, I'm just the viewer here, but genuine guys, I think have that attribute.
Right.
I think they do they? I mean, the one, guys that you might have interacted with, and
I think it's a lack of desperation.
I think that's just really that simple.
It is the desperation is a stinky perfume. Like this idea of when a man has not maybe thought, because this is the thing about Jimmy, he's a deep thinker, and because he spends so much time alone and reading, so he's probably thought quite a lot about how he comes off, who he is, and those type of things. And when you do that work, which is what we talk about so much here on the show, when you do that work, you end up realizing you're okay on your own. You're going to be just fine, and you don't need someone else to complete you. But it's great when someone comes along and they fit well and it works well and you have a mutually beneficial relationship or whatever, but you're not desperate for it. And so I think most men go along their lives without considering who they actually are, and then they end up in a situation like this girl walks up to you and you're like, oh, this is my chance. I got to take it. And Jimmy's just like, I don't know. I'm just living my life. If she wants something, she'll say it directly. That's I think what you figure. If she's
and this is unique to me. Maybe other people have this experience. The way I was raised, the way my dad was, he said no one time.
That's true.
And he said no twice. It was not saying no. He was furious. You didn't ask for anything twice. Can I have a cookie? No. Please? No. You didn't ask for a cookie twice. So I'm used to no. That's final answer. If you know, like that was it. And if a girl says no, she says no, and that's it. And that's why once again, I don't have any Me Too stories. I don't, as soon as I get any indication, and big thing, people who know anything about it, I don't drink. So I never make dumb decisions, or I don't like, well, I thought I don't do any of that stuff. So
you have no confusion going on.
There's no confusion. There's no ambiguity in my head.
There's no excuses of why you did the wrong thing or whatever.
I think about everything I do.
Well, I guess what another thing I'm wondering is if you're a guy and you kind of, I let's say I like the concept of you just kind of being agnostic to this girl hitting on you in that scenario or scenarios like that, and you're a guy and you find that. I like that positive attribute. I feel like that's a very good, skill set to have. How would you tell someone, maybe I know you probably have thought about this, but how would you tell someone, here's how you can better maybe not act desperate? Like how to put your tongue back in your mouth, or how to like not, like how to be a little more just like whatever.
And I think Jimmy's got,
it's natural
it's really
for you,
interesting
clearly,
because even though you have this part of you that's like a loner, and you're totally, and when I say a loner, I say it in the most loving way, but
oh no, I'm a total loner. Yeah.
Who is totally comfortable spending time by himself, basically. And then you have this piece of, you interact with the world in this way that is just kind of matter of fact, I guess is what it is. And the desperation piece doesn't necessarily, maybe I'm not using the right words for it, but basically it just pulls, your personality is something that people gravitate to without you having to extend yourself. Because I think the point I'm trying to make is that you have had a lot of romantic relationship. You've been able to have partners, even though, I'm saying you're a loner on this end, you still had all these wonderful women in your life throughout your dating career or whatever. And they've come along even with this personality. So it's not like this doesn't work for.
No, it clearly works. Yeah, it clearly works. But I guess that's what we're wondering is like, how do you help someone be a little more like that?
A universal socket will fit. It won't fit great.
Right. Agreed.
If you're the shape you are, the people that have clicked with me, I've had some crazy, incredible, intense, awesome relationships in my life because I wasn't trying to fit what they thought I was going to, So it's that, I'm a universal socket. Okay, but like if you've ever used a tool that was, it never fit perfect because it fits with every socket, right?
Right.
If you are, I'm a 5/16. That's what I am. Anything smaller won't fit. Anything bigger won't fit. You will always fit perfectly with the people who do fit.
Well, the point, I guess, there is you got to know yourself.
Yeah.
Definitely. And you clearly do that. And you knew yourself as a little kid.
That's part of being alone, man. And people don't seem to get. I didn't.
Well, you had to.
You had to, yeah. I've known other people. They went from classes to this, to that, to this, to that. My parents went, go outside. Lunch is at 4:00. This is when you are coming back.
Right.
Okay. And you had to be self-aware because I was alone all the time.
And self-sufficient.
And self-sufficient all the time.
You have a rocky childhood, too, with your father abusing alcohol. And I think that probably made you have to man up and become a man in so many ways from the get-go because you were kind of holding down the house to some degree.
Yes. Dad was a bad alcoholic, and that leads to a couple things. Don't wake up Dad. Why do you think I pulled the axe out of my thumb and didn't wake anybody up? Because Dad was asleep, and if Dad's asleep, you don't wake up Dad. So I had to deal with it, right? So there's that. And then there's, on the other side, past 7:30, 8 o'clock, I was the adult in the house. I have an older sister, but like past 7:30, everybody's useless. Just everybody's useless.
Wasted.
Yeah, everybody's useless. So you learn to go, all right, at a certain, if the house had burned down, I got to somehow deal with it, whatever the deal is. And so it makes you like self-sufficient in a way, but like
grow up.
Yeah. You tend to kind of grow up quickly. Yeah. And that was part of it.
Yeah. But you rose to the occasion though, as well, because I feel like there's a lot of people that would still talk about that as a huge negative in their life, and they would still be talking about it. Whereas you're like, that happened, it made me who I am, and I feel like I'm better as a result.
Or a lot of people had fallen into the same addiction.
Yeah, and they do. It's like it just takes a lot of work, man. It's also like a. One of the things, too, being built the way I am and looking the way I do is, especially when I was younger, you have to, you learn to manage yourself a bit too, because you can scare people easily and you don't realize it. And you don't, like, so.
You got to give yourself some sort of like structure and
right. Yeah. Or,
So you're saying you have to be self-aware of how your image is projected.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
right.
You do, because,
That's very interesting.
Yeah.
Because I never would have thought about that.
So one time I remember when I was a kid, it was my ex and one of her friends came over to see my dad. I was at my dad's house, and they came over to my dad's apartment and came over to see my dad. And he was sitting there, and they started moving toward me. And I went, they're scared of him. It just dawned on me.
Yeah.
And he wasn't doing anything as far as he was concerned. He was just sitting there drinking. But my dad was built like a gorilla. And so he was like, wasn't.
But you saw people fear someone from their stature.
Yeah, and it just dawned. I grew up with a guy my whole life.
Yeah.
He wasn't violent. He wouldn't do anything, but they didn't know that.
Right.
And so I was like, oh man, I'm scared of him. It just like clicked. Like, I was like, okay, and we're gonna go. And I was like, no, he's not gonna. Like, oh man, they didn't grow up around that, and I did. So going to biker bars and pool halls and stuff in Bellflower and Cerritos and Long Beach that was normal to me. I didn't find those environments frightening, but other people do, and you have to kind of like, oh yeah, like you manage. I remember just little instances when I was younger where somebody push me or somebody upset me, and I just give them a look and they would just like cringe, and I go, oh yeah, like. It's a power, like, but it's also like, I didn't mean to scare the crap out of you.
Yeah, but it's also it's an attitude that if you can project it and use it in your favor, it's very beneficial. Because in fact, the ability to make people a little worried about what you can do actually saves them.
Oh man,
right?
Yeah, I think Jimmy is he's one of my protectors in my life. He's literally protected me in scenarios where I needed kind of like a bodyguard next to me, and that's one of your gifts. You have this stature, but you use it or you hone it to assist, I think, instead of hurt others.
I have a pit bull. I have two pit bulls, Steeler and Penny. And Steeler's, you know Steeler and Penny, and you love Steeler and Penny. Steeler's the guy, he's bigger, right? And then Penny's the female, she's a little smaller, And I was walking Steeler and Penny one time, and somebody's gate opened up. They had actually, like, this guy was outside, and he had apparently not locked his gate, and this big Mastiff comes sprinting down the front yard right at my pit bull, the female. Oh. And Steeler, the male, stood up and didn't bark or anything. And so and Steeler just stood up right in front of him. And this big Mastiff just screeched to a halt right in front of Steeler. And Steeler just stood there, looked at him, and didn't make a sound. And that suddenly that Mastiff just shut up. It just stopped. And the guy grabbed his dog, and I was like, Steeler, come here. That's me.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, I don't yell and scream. By the time I have to hurt you, I'm going to hurt you.
Yeah.
But up to that point, I don't do any of those things. I don't.
You hold your ground.
Yeah, but like you push me, I'm not going anywhere, right?
You're your side of the street, and if you come over here, then that's your problem.
That's exactly what Steeler's eyes said. Is if you go after her, I'm gonna bite you. Mm-hmm. And that dog backed off. And I've looked out for you, and I've looked out for
Jade.
I don't know how many Bellator girls.
God. Yeah, no.
I like. Oh my God! Because there's always that. People mistake kindness for weakness. Where it's like, if you touch her, I'm gonna hurt you. Yeah. So I would think twice about it.
What's interesting about that, I have a little bit of experience, not like you, okay? But what's interesting about what you're talking about is bad people know how to use that to their advantage. But if you're confident and you know what they're doing, you counter that like your dog did, and it works almost every time. And if it doesn't, you're like, well, I'm going to fight this guy. I might lose. That's how my mentality is. Like, I might lose, but hey, I did something.
Dad always said bullies don't want to fight. That's why they're bullies.
Right. That's exactly right.
They don't want to fight. They want to get what they want without fighting.
Now, I want to ask you something that as soon as you said it, Steeler and Penny. Sorry for this. Can you do the voice you do when you're talking to them?
When I'm talking to Penny or Steeler?
You noticed it.
I want to hear Penny. I want to hear Penny's first.
All right. So Penny's girl. She is. She's a licker, and she's just like super affectionate. She loves everyone. So she's Penny. Hey, Penny.
She's Penny.
Come on, Penny. Penny. On the couch, Penny. Penny, no, get off. And Steeler's the guy. Yeah. And Steeler's so Steeler, I just talk to in a regular voice.
Now, do you do voices for them? Mm-hmm. Does Penny have a voice?
Of course, Penny has.
Okay, what's Penny's voice?
Penny's voice is because she does this thing. Like, when you give her a treat, she's like, so we're always like, she's like, I'm like, hey, Penny. She's like, hey, how you doing? Hey, let me. Like, Penny, no, I do want. That's Penny. That's all over. Like, if you don't let her lick you, she'll be like, she'll lick the air in front of you. Because she's freaked. Yeah, that's Penny.
And what's
Steelers kind of like,
yo, how's it going?
Whatever. You don't have to pet me.
Okay.
You know, where he's always like, I don't need this. And his tail's like going nuts. You're like, but his face is like, I don't care. And you're like, Steelers, don't even care. Stupid. You're like, come here, pet me. Come on, Steeler. And he'll come right over. So those are the two voices. Penny is like always anxious, and Steeler's like, I don't need you, but I'll take pet if you're given one. Yeah, that's how he is.
Now, and let me guess this: you have the voices for them, and your wife does not, right?
We both kind of do.
She does.
Yeah,
okay.
She does. Yeah, we love our dogs.
Okay, so you
family.
we have
We have two.
Chap has a voice for every one of his cats.
I
He has
do.
songs.
Hey,
Voices.
how's it going?
Right? No, we have different stuff. They sing. Yeah, totally.
Oh, they do. Let's hear one.
No, your cats. My dogs don't sing.
Yes, they do. All right, let's hear a song that you would make up right now about
Oh, wow.
Penny.
About Penny?
Yeah, Penny's sitting there and she's like sniffing around this camera. What would be her song? You got to sing it.
Oh, wow.
If she sniffed on this camera.
Right now, the camera, she's sniffing around right now, and you see Penny, and you're like, oh, Penny, what would her song be?
Her song would be like, I really want to give you licks and kisses, but I can't right now because there's a camera here, but as soon as you're done, I will give you kisses. That's her.
I love this guy.
Because that's how she is. She's like, I want to give you kisses, but I can't right now.
Oh, my God.
She does. And she's done it to Mercedes, too.
There is a bro bond going to happen here.
There's a romance happening.
We didn't even get into the fact... We didn't even get into the fact that the guys are both historians.
Yes.
Like,
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
History degree.
We're hanging out later. We're hanging out later tonight anyway.
That's right. You know what I'm talking about.
Wait, is your degree in history?
Yes.
Well,
Yes.
I'll be damned.
I'll be damned. I know.
got a
We're going
lot
to get
to
into
talk about.
so much more.
By the Knights of Columbus in 1426.
Battle of Hastings.
Tampa actually means...
And that's our voice, right? Like, when I was a conquistador.
Oh, my God. All right, so Anchorman, if you're in broadcasting... Bellator would just fly around Anchorman quotes constantly.
Literally. That's
all the time.
Yeah.
That's what we did.
Lived in it.
Oh, man.
But we have to end this episode. We have to have you on for another episode, Jimmy, because...
Because production's
we-
cheap again, and we ran out of cards, so give us money and subscribe and save.
Yeah, subscribe and save. I think that's
Whatever
an
it is.
Amazon purchasing
Oh, sorry. Never
idea.
mind. Subscribe and fund.
Where can we find Jimmy?
If you like Mercedes, you'll love offer someone. You'll love.
Well, the problem is Mercedes, as you can tell, the fabric, she doesn't have enough money to pay for her fabric on her outfit. Right. So if you really, never
she only has one
the more
shoulder
money
on.
you give, the less shoulders will be
that
on.
makes no sense.
That's true. Forget that. Okay, Jimmy's social. Twitter is Jimmy Smith MMA. So at JIMMYSMITHMMA.
Yes.
And then Instagram is J Smith MMA. J Smith MMA. Like
Whenever I'm doing anything over the phone and they're like, how do you spell that? I'm like, really?
Really? Jimmy Smith?
Jimmy Smith? Really? Really?
It's
Smith?
that
Need help
difficult.
with that?
Jimmy, we feel like we can do a show for 3 hours long. Actually, I've done that with you before. But today, this is where it ends, and I'm just so grateful that you came down, and I'm so grateful to know you and that you're in my life and will always be in my life. So thank you for also being one of those people who keep the connection strong. I appreciate you.
Myself, I wouldn't cry. It's great to see you, babe. It's been far too long. Okay.
Love you.
Love you to death.
All right. Thank you so much for tuning in today. And if you'd like to be a part of our community, please subscribe, connect, and comment through the links below. And we do this every week. So we will catch you again next week. Bye for now.